All right, everyone. Great to be back with you. Today, what we're going to talk through is leadership maturity. Now, the thing that I find most, what's the right way to put it? I'll put it this way. One of the things I find most prevalent is that as we start to grow in our leadership, we don't do a great job societally of knowing the difference between feeling unsafe and uncomfortable. That bleeds into those of us that are in a more senior leadership role or a new executive. Here's why this is important. The distinction between feeling unsafe and uncomfortable is a big one, because when you get into a situation, regardless of your background, regardless of the imprint you had growing up, fill in the blank, in the various domains that our brain space functions in, we get the same outcome of feeling. In other words, regardless of if you're unsafe or uncomfortable, you get the same feeling, and that is pain. And if there's anything we know about the brain issues pain to cause us to have self-preservation, right? So a feeling, then behavior follows that feeling, ultimately to the end of you being self-preserved. And that can be really good, but that can also be really bad. So let's think through a little bit of the distinction of feeling unsafe versus uncomfortable. When we're talking about a lack of safety here, we're talking about maybe you have a boss or a coworker or a friend or whomever, and they're manipulative. Maybe someone shouts, and I don't mean raising your voice so somebody can hear you, though that can come up at times, but they're speaking in a way that's actually shouting, yelling. Maybe I guess we should go shouting, yelling. Let's talk about somebody who is disrespectful. This is a good one, where they will start to use names. Now, or call people names. I don't mean to be crass, but one time I had a senior executive call someone a dick. And so it's like, it was literally what I said to the person in this group, and this person used that language within this leadership team. And I said, I feel like I'm back in junior high school here. There's 60,000 plus words in the English language, and we're using potty talk or potty mouths. So when we're unsafe, it could be people that are using the negative variations, and so you very well may be unsafe, and so if you're unsafe, you need to get out of there, versus when we're in situations where we're merely just uncomfortable. And so these are situations like, maybe it's literally just conflict. Maybe it's things like hard conversations. Maybe it's things where there's a difference of perspective, which we're going to get into this a little bit later, but there's a big concept that I don't know why more people aren't talking about, called the perspective gap. And so this is in fact, actually I'm writing on this right now. But I think this is probably one of the biggest things that hinders us in being able to identify and coach or connect with someone or really be on the same page. Essentially, this cuts off our emotional intelligence or our empathy. So at the end of the day, what I want us to take away from today in this concept is, a lot of the times we're here, and when we're middle of the road, the big piece that is between this whole thing is pain. And if you can remember that your brain goes straight to the pain, it's your job to be able to distinguish between, this is where we have the little bubble come up. And I guess this is the maturity bubble, and we say, okay, is what I'm going through actually, is it unsafe, or is it merely just uncomfortable? If you're uncomfortable, lean in, embrace the situation, ask clarifying questions. One of the things we'll talk about later is a concept that we use called the L3X model. It stands for listen, learn, lead with questions. That is especially helpful when you are just feeling uncomfortable, because instead of ejecting and getting away and say, I'm hanging up this phone call, or I'm leaving this meeting, or I'm ending the Zoom, it allows you to almost be Sherlock Holmes and start teasing things out and really get to the bottom of it. Versus if you really are unsafe and someone is shouting or being disrespectful, eject and get out of that situation and then reconvene later. Trusting that this concept is simple, but also really helpful for you to apply today. And probably the best training ground is use your family, use partner, spouse, kids, neighbors, and start to have some hard conversations. Because if we cannot avoid hard conversations, we can start to develop some muscle around difficulty and get really good at that, which we'll probably talk about in the next video. So appreciate your time. Let's go.